don't assume there will be tariff troubles for Apple iPhones assembled in China. That's reportedly a commitment the Trump administration made to CEO Tim Cook last month. But what about supply chain disruptions? Some inside Apple are reportedly concerned. With us now, New York Times tech reporter Mike Isaac and Structure Capital managing partner Jillian Manus to talk through it. Welcome to both of you. Mike, you know as well as anyone that Apple has had trouble in China at certain points. The government appearing to want to maybe slow their momentum, benefit perhaps some domestic companies. What are some of the dangers, even if there's no tariff on iPhones coming out of China into the U.S.? What are some ways that Apple could get caught in the crosshairs here?
Yeah, well, I think, as we read in the Times report yesterday, Tim Cook is doing something really smart, which is essentially just getting in front of President Trump to say, look, this could potentially harm our business. We don't actually know how the Chinese will retaliate here, but any sort of back and forth between the Trump administration and the Chinese government just has the ability to hamper iPhone output. So like in 2014, we had in that story, in 2014, the Obama administration went after some Chinese hackers and they retaliated by slowing down approvals for some iPhones in China. So there's probably a lot of different bureaucratic ways the government could go after Apple, and they're not really sure. So this time, Tim Cook is trying to get ahead of it. And who knows what's going to happen, really.
Jillian, your thoughts on how this escalating tension affects, I don't know, the investment environment, as you're looking at where it's safe to invest, how much?
Yeah, I think there's a fundamental problem right here with the administration that's really affecting all of us and how we're viewing investments, is that I think there's a confusion between a competitive advantage and free trade and fair trade. And there's also this problem that we're seeing between free trade versus fair trade. We do in the investment community feel that it is a positive thing to start implementing some fair trade policies. But what does that mean? If we start to create this path of pure protectionism, I worry that it will globally trigger a global recession, which will have a tremendous, obviously, impact across all markets. What's happening at Apple, we have to remember, Apple is really, they sell more iPhones in China than here in the United States. So 20% of sales in mainland China represents 20%, mainland China sales represents 20% of the revenues, 200 billion revenues of China, of Apple. And so I think we're not realizing that this is a slippery slope. I think this is a slippery slope, and investors are keeping an eye on this. But this pure protectionism path is very, very dangerous. This confusion between the competitive advantage and the fair trade is a dangerous one, and Trump is walking it.
How crucial is the IP piece of this puzzle? I mean, we just got comments from Navarro a little while ago talking about how important stipulations from China on intellectual property protections are. It
is a very big piece. I mean, we worry about this all the time. We worry about even having Chinese investors in our funds because we're worried about that exposure. Our companies are tremendously frightened of any type of vulnerability on that front. But you have to understand, tech companies are very nimble. And I think that they can get others, they can supply and source outside of China, like in Vietnam. So if Apple had to pull out of China in terms of their manufacturing, there are alternatives. But once again, right?
But how long would it take
to
build that up? Years and years, I
completely.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a hit. Apple will take a hit no matter what. And Tim Cook is justified in being very, very concerned.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.